Hey, Pat Rigsby here, and in today's episode, I want to talk with you about the surest path to mediocrity. Let's get to it. One of my most difficult challenges as a business coach, as a coach in general, is to get people to let go of their past way of operating, right? Their past self, if you will. And it's not uncommon in the business world to kind of paraphrase the book, What Got You Here Won't Get You There. And the idea that doing it the way that we've always done it is a surefire way to get pretty mediocre results. And if I look back at my, biggest professional successes, if you want to call them that, they've all been related to kind of breaking out of the norm. The way that I led a college baseball program in my first kind of leg of my professional life was really very different than everybody else that we competed against. The way that we approached recruiting, the way that we approached player development, our style of play, it was all very different. My first personal training business, we did 30-minute sessions. Everybody was on 12-month contracts. This was almost unheard of, the subscription billing model. I had a couple of the bigger name consultants in the industry tell me I was crazy, yet we were growing like gangbusters. And later on, you heard at least one of them taking credit for engineering that kind of shift to the subscription model in fitness, even though a year or two prior they had told me that I was nuts for even giving it a shot. Launching a franchise where you could essentially co-brand and say, okay, ABC Fitness powered by our brand, and growing that franchise, adding 116 locations in our first year. Though that was very non-traditional. You go out and see franchises every day in every market, and none of them look like that. But being different allowed for a really rapid path to growth. And I think that when I even launched my current brand and started talking about building your ideal business, it was very uncommon. People didn't think about building a business that supported their life, or at least maybe people didn't market to that goal. There was so many things about lead generation or conversion, but they didn't really talk about like, okay, well, where is this going to lead you? Are you just painting yourself into a corner and owning a business that you hate? So all of my bigger successes or bigger wins, at least in my book, have kind of been that way. And I even know with what Doug Sperling and I are doing now with the Wealthy Gym Owner, nobody else is really talking about using a small independently owned business as a vehicle for wealth building. Everybody still is kind of on that train of how do I get more leads or how do I generate more top line revenue, and not thinking about it through the lens of, okay, how do I get a business to scale up and be systematic so I can have a life and still pay myself well and create financial security and opportunity for the future. And I think that being okay with being different isn't necessarily easy, but because there's some risk, and maybe it's the perception of risk even more than the risk itself, because I think the biggest risk is doing what you've always done and having some blind faith that somehow it's going to turn out better, when in all actuality, that I'd let off saying that's the path to mediocrity, but it's probably more of the path to like death by 1,000 cuts, because ultimately more and more people jump on that bandwagon because it's known, it's safe, it becomes a commodity. So you incrementally lose market share, you incrementally become less of a standout, one of a kind business in the community and more of a kind of one of many. And I think the courage to go out and be bold and say, okay, I'm going to try to skate to where the puck is going. I'm going to be willing to do some things that the market isn't currently doing so I can be ahead, so I can lead, or at least so I can be different, because doing things the way that you've always done them is It's tethering yourself to the old you. And so you know how far it can take you. At best, you know how far it can take you, and it's pretty much precisely where you are. But if you want to go somewhere better, you're probably going to have to be a better version of you. You're probably going to have to be a little bit different and take a little bit different approach. You're going to have to, in our industry, I think you're going to have to be very observant of outside industries, because we are not what I would call the first mover. We're not the most progressive industry. We're a little bit later to adapt, a little bit later to change. And so there are plenty of clues in other industries if you're willing to have your head up and look for them. So the takeaway from this episode, I think, is really simple. If you want something better, you're going to have to be willing to become different. You're going to have to be willing to become better. And that means getting out of your comfort zone. Now, as an entrepreneur, hopefully that's kind of exciting to you. Maybe it creates a little bit of nervousness, and that's okay. But hopefully it's exciting to you. I know it is to me. And really, the thing that I would be most fearful of is being tethered to the way we've always done things, because it just seems like, at best, kind of punching the clock, and most likely a slow demise.